You serious?
There are plenty of ways to kill an hour out there. Thank you for killing one with us. Now, recently, the How to Kill an Hour gang, well, some of us, myself and Nick Bright, went to Oxford to go and check out Rebellion Games' brand new VR release exclusive to the PS4, Battlezone. But when talking about VR, it's an interesting thing at this moment in time because it's not out yet. We're on the cusp of finding out what this VR output will mean for the world of gaming, not just for Battlezone and for PlayStation, but all of VR that's out there. What does it mean? So we discuss VR as a whole while also giving you a review of our experience of Rebellion's Battlezone and our first go on the PlayStation VR headset. So how did our day start, Nick?
Well, it started off meeting you actually in the morning in Kensal Rise, Kensal Green, Kensal. I always get them mixed round. So the reason we were meeting up, though, not just for general chat and to chat about girls and stuff, we were actually meeting up because we were going to Oxford to check out a VR game, new VR game, which is going to come out on the PlayStation VR. First time that I'd actually got hands-on with the PlayStation VR as well.
Yeah.
Because with you, I do all this stuff with you, innit, for How to Kill an Hour, but like with you, I'd messed with the HTC.
Yes, we had an experience with that.
The Samsung.
Yes, we've had a few experiences with that.
I don't think I had. Correct me if I'm wrong. Have I had a go on Oculus?
There was Oculus at the Subpack event.
Right. Okay. I don't think I.
Yeah, but I don't think we indulged.
The queues to get on each thing was crazy.
Yeah.
But we basically got invited to Oxford, man, to an independent games company, I'd say. Quite like, it's mad because in there it was quite big, like, you know, the kind of warehouse space was quite, and there was loads of people like in this office. It's like it's weird. You walk through these doors, right, then all of a sudden, no exaggeration, there must have been like 200 or more like computer screens in this like massive open plan office. Like, so one screen would be like a normal desktop computer, but then they would have like 3 or 4 different screens all like with like different games on and that, and then they're like, you think that's like amazing and weird. Then the next weird thing was like, all of a sudden you walk past some guy's desk and he's sitting there with the VR headset on just like playing the game, and I'm like, this is a job. Like, this is a dude's job. He's sitting there just like, and obviously he don't even know we're there because he's wearing the VR headset
and headphones as well.
Like proper in it. There was a guy with like dreadlocks who looked like, the guy with dreadlocks, right, he looked like he could have been a character in a Marvel, like a Netflix Marvel like thing. Do you know what I mean? Because he was wearing like a wife beater top with like sleeveless top kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like shaved hair on the back and the sides, and then dreadlocks from the top, like long dreadlocks, and he had the VR thing on, and I was like, this guy looks like a villain from like from a Marvel comic. Trust me.
So that was Rebellion. Do you know what else was interesting about Rebellion's studio? Like you said, it's a massive room, hundreds of people, but it was so quiet.
Mad quiet. Like, and the thing is, I obviously work in an office, you know, Radio 101 Extra Towers, where it is not quiet at all. You've got DJs all around who are whooping and hollering. Like, even the staff that work there, a lot of those guys are super loud as well.
Yeah.
And like, it's so different in that office. Even though they're all creative people, you could hear a pin drop. Like, it was like super quiet like this. Like, people were just like, that's them tapping on their keyboards and playing the game, and then us lot walked in like, anyway, like, How to Kill an Hour, like, and I was like, oh, we're being mad loud. Like, we need to tone it down.
You know, when you walk, you know, like in a Western film, when people walk into a bar and everything goes quiet, that's what it felt like. We're like,
we walked through the what, I don't know what you call them, shutters, and everyone just turned around like, who's these newbies in here?
Yeah, they don't look like they know VR.
Reach for the sky.
So Rebellion, like you said, they're a big. It's really weird for them because we had a chat with one of the guys from Rebellion, so we'll put that out when we're allowed to. But it's really weird that they're a massive company, but they're actually an independent, like one of the last and when we say independent, there's no big bosses with checks like saying, listen, you need to make this much, change the game. Like they literally make what they want.
It's crazy though for me as well, because like, you know, I've obviously heard of Rebellion, and like the crazy thing for me is that team, that office looked quite big. Do you know what I mean to me? Like it wasn't like 3 people in an office, like, you know, and the boss.
Yeah.
It was big. It was like, I don't know how I can describe it. It was like a warehouse. It was like a warehouse on like an industrial estate. But then when you go into the warehouse, it's been converted into this nice office with loads of desks and loads of people. Yeah. But in the grand scheme of things, compared to like, you know, the major studios that are owned by, you know, the big companies, that's probably nothing.
Yeah.
Like that office is probably like tiny compared to what, you know, the big studios have got. So for me, that is like crazy. Like if you think, it's probably 5 times the amount of staff in one of the major studios, probably more.
Yeah.
Like, and to me, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that. Like when you said we're going down there, and you said, you know, it's in Oxford, blah blah blah. I just thought it was going to be quite small. I thought it would be like a warehousey type thing, but I thought it'd be maybe half the size, if that. It was quite big in there, man.
It was.
Surprised.
So yeah, we strolled in, and Rebellion, they also own the 2000 AD franchise. Yeah. So we saw some Judge Dredd memorabilia in there as well. In fact, when you walk in, there was like there's
a massive statue.
Yeah, of Judge Dredd, which is sick. So anyway, we went in, disturbed the office, and saw a manner of people that were like dressed like characters out of the Matrix.
Yeah.
The party scene in the first Matrix film. That's what they all look like.
Or Blade.
Or Blade.
You know, when they're in the club in Blade.
Yeah.
And all the blood's coming from the ceiling.
Yeah, and they're like listening to that techno.
Yeah. They're listening to like mad music.
Yeah.
They listen to that Bass in the Place, London.
Yeah. So we went in, and they took us into another side room, which had really cool air conditioning. I remember after coming out of this room with like hundreds of computers in, we walked into this tiny room, and the aircon was like,
it was like walking into a fridge.
Yeah, and this was it was my first time actually seeing the PlayStation VR in real life.
Yeah.
Was that same for you as well? Yeah.
Same. First time getting hold of it, first time seeing it in the flesh.
Yeah. And we were there it was sick. And we were there to play Battlezone, but because it was our first time getting our hands on the device, and the devices are literally about to hit the shops, like we might be releasing this just the day before PlayStation VR comes out. So in terms of the physicality of the device, I suppose it's fair we compare it to the other VR out there. So there's Oculus. I've tried Oculus Rift. Oculus Rift it's got a couple of flavors. Like, so the latest iteration is something that you wear on your head. There's a few straps that you've got to strap in. There's like if I remember rightly, there's a strap that goes on the back of your head and one that goes over the top. It was a reasonable weight. Yeah. It wasn't the lightest VR. And it was some screens that you pop over your eyes. And at the time I was using the Oculus Rift, I was using a plugged in control pad because it's like a development version. And I played a few games where the graphics were all right. And I think that was like a couple of years ago, the first time I got it.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, and the graphics were okay.
So there'll be an advancement from then, though, a few years ago.
Definitely. Right. I think, the other time I put on Oculus Rift, the graphics it was like a cinema experience for Allegiance film, the part of the Divergent series, where they, and I'll lead on to this actually again, where they filmed a part of the film again with all the same actors, but they filmed it with 360-degree cameras. And then turned it into a VR experience that you sat in and you took part in. So the actors from the film were looking at you, talking to you, telling you to go here, there, and whatever. And that version of Oculus Rift, I was like, the graphics are way better. Still a big device, but they had it hardwired in at the time. So I don't know about how portable and easy it would be to move around with.
Yeah, I've had a go on the Samsung Gear VR2.
Yeah, that was it.
And it's the one where you clip the phone. You clip the actual Samsung phone into the front of it, and it turns your phone into the screen, basically. And that was quite cool. Like, it was lightweight because it's just the phone, really. Do you know what I mean? The mad thing about it is your phone gets mad hot.
Yes.
Samsung phone gets very, very hot, which is like not good news for Samsung with all the stuff they're going through.
I was going to say,
exploding batteries and all the rest of it on your eyes. You know what I mean? Crazy. But there was loads of different experiences for that. There was a few games. They weren't great. Like, you know, it's quite basic because you don't have any hand control. It's all like, it's more to do with just like you have to look. Like, so there was a spaceship game where I was playing, and it just shoots all the time, and you just have to look at like the other spaceships flying past and all that. There was a Marvel Avengers kind of scene, like what you just explained with the Oculus, where you are immersed in a fighting scene. So they're not actually talking to you, or you're not part of it. You're just like a voyeur. You're just in there whilst the Hulk is like beating someone up, and like you're like, wow, like someone's like flying past you as the Hulk smashes them, like, you know, past your head or whatever. Like, so that was quite cool. But again, like I feel like it was a little bit restrictive, a little bit limited, because there was no hand control. Like, and I feel like that's a big thing that we're obviously going to talk about this more once we go into PlayStation VR and HTC as well. But like, I almost feel like at the moment with VR, for it to be really, really good, you have to have like, your hands have to be involved. Otherwise, otherwise you're just like that. You're just like looking like it's a bit dead. You know what I mean? And you get a quick neck. Like,
you need input. You
need something. Like, your hands have to be involved. Even if it's like in the future, like there's probably someone developing this already. I don't even know. I haven't looked. But like a glove. Do you know what I mean? Where the headset, the VR headset, can recognize that you're wearing a glove. Like, so if you put your hand in front of your face, you'll actually just see a hand. Like, that's sick. Do you know what I mean?
And the step closer to that, I think, was definitely with the Vive. Like, because we had the 2 handheld units.
And they were kind of like, I was thinking about this the other way. I was thinking about the best way to explain to people that might be listening to this that have not seen it or whatever. Best way to explain what they were, because they weren't like, you know, regular controllers. A regular controller is, you know, like a controller, like a, you know, but they were kind of like, it was like a barrel, like, so it was like a straight round barrel. Think of it, in fact, I'll strip it right down. Imagine you're holding 2 bananas in your hands, like how you would hold a banana. Do you know what I mean? So your index finger is underneath the banana, and your thumb is above the banana. That's the best way for me to describe it. So it was good because it felt like, for what we used it for, it felt like you was holding a gun.
It was. Do you know what I mean? It was very natural.
So like, to reload, you pressed with your thumb on top of the banana, and to shoot, there was a trigger underneath the banana. Like, you get what I mean? Like,
definitely.
I know like banana isn't the most technical term, but like,
no, I think that makes sense.
I'm humanizing it for those people that like haven't seen it or have never had a go on it. So it was good because it felt like you was holding a gun, and that's what I liked.
And if you are a gamer, just imagine breaking your control pad in half, having one hand, half in your right hand and one hand in your left hand as well. It's I suppose, and that was the first experience we've done that we got to hold like external devices and see them turn up in the VR world. And I think
I really, really like that.
That's the breakthrough. When you're holding a control pad and you wave it around with the headset on, you see
stuff in front of you,
stuff moving around, whether it is a hand or a gun, or sometimes if it's just a render of the actual control pad itself. That's the thing.
That's not embargoed anymore, right? The
on the
HTC.
on the HTC Vive. No, we can talk about that.
Right, okay, because I loved the fact that during the game that we played, like, if you raised your hand in front of you, in your right hand, you had the gun, and in your left hand you had a torch. Like, I loved it. There was 2 different like things as well, and the VR recognizes that. And
you had to hold the control pad in a certain way to light the torch. To light the torch up, and it was kind of like,
it was realistic. It was very realistic.
It was. It burst. It really. You had to behave like you're actually holding these things to get the best effect from it, and that was sick.
Really good. The only downside, obviously, for me, for the HTC, is you have to have a big space. And it's, you know, if we're being completely honest, it must be very difficult to set up in terms of, like, you know, you have to have the sensors, or say if you've got a box room, you have to have like 2 sensors in front of you, and like maybe is it 4 sensors, 2 in front of you, 2 behind?
There are a number of sensors to just basically stop you running into a wall, because like, obviously they made it work, but that was quite important as well, so you didn't run into a wall.
I liked it for that, because you actually have to physically move, which is what I liked. Whereas with a lot of the VR experiences that I've been a part of, it's stationary. You're actually stationary as the person. You're maybe just sitting down, but your character's moving around or whatever.
Yeah.
But like with the HTC, you had to run towards the zombies and shoot the zombies, and like it was crazy.
And so we've done that experience. So then it was on to PlayStation VR, and the experience we had, I believe that they do work with the PlayStation Move controllers, the VR stuff. But today's experience, we had a control pad, and it was Battlezone. Actually, the physicality of the VR headset, like putting it on and stuff, I just want to say it was no trouble, and that's an important thing. Like, I know it's like, why are you mentioning that for? You might be thinking, why are Marcus and Nick talking about that? But it's for something that you're going to be wearing potentially for hours. Comforts are really important.
It was really easy. It's like it had a button on the back, could just like tighten it it wasn't like with other headsets I've used, there's lots of twisting and lots of like, it was like it was like, good way for me to describe it again, humanize it, break it down to things that everybody does, like when you've got a Hoover and it's got like a retractable cord, and you just press the button and the cord goes whoop, back into the Hoover. It's kind of like that, but obviously not as fast.
Yeah.
You press this little button and it releases it, and then you let go of the button and it like stays in that position. So if you need to make it bigger, press the button, pull it bigger, release it, and it will stay there.
Nice.
Like, it was nice like that. And then you just push the goggles close onto your face so that obviously your peripheral vision is like completely immersed.
Yeah.
And then that's it. It was lightweight as well.
It was, and it had a really comfortable nose sensor as well. I've got a big nose, so when it was going onto my nose, it was like, you know what, it was really soft and nice. And a little bit it was just really easy. Put it on, adjust it. The only thing they need to work on across all VR is the headphone situation, because you put the VR on, with everything I've tried, you have to put the VR on, then you put headphones on over the top. So when you take it all off, it can be a bit wonky. But
but like, what I did notice is that a lot of the VR headsets, you don't have to wear headphones if you don't want to. Obviously, for the full experience, especially when you've got things like these horror experiences that you can do where like things are jumping out from the side of you. You want to wear headphones because like it's way more immersive. You are, but like, I guess their kind of argument is you don't have to wear headphones if you don't want to. But I agree. Like, there's a lot of I felt a little bit like the strap from the VR headset was getting in the way of the headphones, probably going over my ear. Like, you know what I mean? There's a bit of fiddling.
So there might be some headphones, little room for headphones that designed specifically for VR so that you can plug them in and just keep them in.
They might be like, you might actually, like, I don't know, plug them into the headset and then they go just straight from the headset to your ear even, do you know what I mean? So it's all in one unit.
Yeah, that'd be
I'm just thinking out loud here. Like, I don't know if that's being developed, but it could be good.
It could be. Speak it into existence. So yeah, that was it. That was the physicality of the VR. The game we were playing was Battlezone. And it's a franchise which has been around for like 30 years, 35, 36 years. Like,
you can tell though, like, and not in a bad way. I mean, like, it felt like a retro game. The way, like, the way it was designed. Like, obviously they've done that purposely because that's the style of the game.
Yeah.
But like, you could tell it's one of those games that's been around for a long time, and you know, it's got a real kind of history behind it.
Yeah. Just to put it into perspective, I think Battlezone is in the background of Tron. The first Tron film. It's like, that's one of the games that's being played. So it's that old school. Not the new Tron film that came out a couple of years ago. We're talking about the one that came out like 30 years ago.
You can tell, like, by the way it looks as well. You know what I mean? It's exactly like Tron in terms of, like, you know, the colours and the vibe and everything. So but I'm gonna be honest. This is the first time I've ever touched it. Battlezone.
Okay, I lost it for a second. I was like, what?
Yeah, no, it's the first time I've ever had a go, like, not on this, like, previous Battlezones and stuff like that.
So it's the first time you ever got your hands on a Battlezone franchise. And just, you know what, do you want to run us through what the game's basically about? Pretty simple game, but they've made it interesting.
Yeah, so basically you have to make your way across a map, like doing different tasks. You can either play solo or play with friends, you know, the usual multiplayer situation, and you have to make your way across a map to what I believe, I mean, we didn't play it for that long, so we got nowhere near the volcano, but you have to make your way across a map doing different tasks on each kind of quadrant of the map, or there's different tasks on each thing, different missions, and then once you get to the volcano, you have to defeat it. We we didn't get anywhere near the volcano.
Destroy it. And what is our mode of transport in the game?
The mode of transport in the game is a tank.
Oh yes.
So basically, you're in a tank, and then you've got different types of enemies. You've got some flying enemies which try to attack you. You've got other tanks which are on the map, and then you've got these really fast ones. I don't know what they are. I wouldn't say they're a tank, but
motorbikes. Some they were like motorbikes.
They were mad fast, but they were easy to destroy.
Yeah,
the tanks took ages to destroy. But there's also you're not just like a standard tank. You've got a choice of a light tank, which is obviously quicker, but doesn't have as good armor. Then you've got a medium tank and then a heavy tank. That's kind of how it works. Marcus kept going for the heavy tank every time, just going straight in for the heavy tank,
sacrificing speed. Because I was always chasing after you guys, but I had the big guns. When I turned up to the gun show, let's just put it like this: I was saving the day.
The ironic thing is, though, I was the one who was always getting the Trundler score. Because I was mad slow. Because basically, right, like I said, first time I ever played this game and any game in the franchise, and I couldn't remember the buttons after the guy, because the guy ran through it all with us, right? And it's because we were using, although we believe you can use the PlayStation Move controllers with PlayStation VR, we were actually using the regular PlayStation control pad,
and it made sense for that game. In fact, there was in a tank. There's quite a lot you need to do. So it made sense.
I can understand. What was cool is if you raised the control pad up to your eye line, it actually appeared.
Yeah, that was sick.
In
Vision,
in VR, which was nice. But we were using the control pad, and obviously, the guy who's one of the developers on the game, he knows it inside out. He works on the team. He knows the buttons. They're playing it every day, blah, blah, blah. And he kind of gave us a whistle stop, me and Marcus, a whistle stop run through of we're playing it single player at the time. And he was like, right, you need to do this. This is the button for that. But he done it so quick. I think because he's used to playing it every day, he took for granted that idiots like me, I need telling 5 times what each button is. So he told me what the button was to go fast. And then I was like, forgotten that.
The turbo button.
Forgotten the turbo button. So I'm just going mad slow everywhere. I was thinking, why do I keep getting this Trundler? I didn't get it at first. I was like, why am I they keep rating me as Trundler? I felt like I was killing it. I felt like I was blowing loads of tanks up and I was like, I'm killing this. And then every time Trundler. I was like, fam.
It's interesting that they've made. I mean, the story's great. We played a bit of story where you kind of got, like you said, you got to make your way from one side of the map to another and defeat various levels of opponents, whether it's towers that you've got to blow up, which have lasers on top of them firing at you. You got to negotiate these landscapes, which vary depending on where you are on the map. That's cool. It's a great story. Simple graphics, because it doesn't require mad in-depth graphics. But where it came into its own, when I noticed we all locked into the game and invested some serious energy, was when it became some multiplayer. Because that's when you're a squad. You're a squad of tanks.
Rolling around,
negotiating this landscape.
And also, Marcus, because we were playing, it was me, you, and
was it Billy? Billy had a go, didn't it? Producer Bill.
Yeah, producer Bill was having a go. And then one of the developers was playing as well. And because one of the developers was playing, he was obviously leading the squad. He was the one handing out the instructions. He was like, right, you two stay here and protect the tower. I'm going to go and scout this, blah, blah, blah. Whereas if it was left up to us to be our own leaders, it would have been a different story.
It would have been. But one thing that was that stood out quite a bit about the game is that even if you are familiar with the game, it can still throw pretty strong curveballs at you as well. And apparently with Battlezone is that they've got procedurally generated maps, which to me, I was like, what? Basically, every single time the maps spawn,
it's different.
Yeah, you never play the same level ever. So even if you're like, I know this, there's a sick place to hide, whatever. And they do something very similar with the AI, because we started a level once and we're with a developer. So this guy knows the game inside out, started the game, murked straight away. We got destroyed.
There was like a massive squad of tanks.
Yeah.
And like normally the enemies come in waves, right? Yeah. So you'll get a wave of enemies, you'll destroy them, and then you'll get a second wave of enemies, destroy them or whatever.
Yeah.
It's almost like they just went, you know what? We're going to kill these guys straight away. The AI just went, fuck this, I'm killing these guys. And we just had a wave of flying enemies, probably about 6 of them, and then we had about 7 tanks all on just us 4. Yeah. We were dead.
Yeah, it was crazy. But you really did have to work together. Like, it was...
Because you can revive your teammates, right?
You have to revive your teammates by being close to them, kind of like in COD when you just go next to your teammate. But also, you buy lives and like reboots and stuff as a team. Yeah. And like you can invest to say like, right, this level's going to be hard. If we all buy a life... Yeah. There's enough lives for all of us, so for us to have 4 deaths.
Yeah, you buy lives with what they call data. Data is the currency in the game, and you earn data through destroying enemies and, doing well in levels. So, like, then you can spend your data on, like, upgrades.
Oh, yes.
Or, like you say, lives.
Yeah, yeah. And it was a simple game, but I got involved in it and I enjoyed it. I mean, like I said, I've got to be honest, it's not a game that focuses on graphics and, you're not going, wow, it's beautiful. But I think with VR, at this point in time, it's about the playability. The same way the Nintendo Wii smashed it. Yeah. Because everyone liked a bit of bowling. Yeah, there was a time everyone played Wii bowling at Christmas, yeah. Call of Duty, sick game, but your nan can play it.
Yeah. Doris ain't getting up and being like,
oh, have you got that COD?
Yeah.
Oh, I fancy some Modern Warfare 2, actually.
I need to do some headshots.
Have you got zombies or Black Ops?
Exactly.
But what I will say with the Wii, just to go quickly on a little like sideline, the Wii, everybody was like, yeah, man, I flipping love this bowling, I love this tennis, blah blah blah. But then everyone quickly worked out that like you actually don't need to like stand up. Like at first everyone was like doing the motions and being like, oh, I'm playing tennis, running around with that, and then like you quickly worked out, hang on, I can just sit on the sofa eating a kebab with my left hand whilst just flicking the controller.
Going,
what? Yeah. Flick, like, and you're still just murking it. Yeah. So like it lost a little bit of shine then, like just a little bit. Whereas with VR, like, especially, if you take it back to like, I don't know, the HTC, with VR now, you can actually, I'm sure, develop games where you actually do have to run around and
100%
and do stuff like that.
100
well, you could have done that even before VR, because of the Kinect and the PlayStation Move. Because the Kinect and the PlayStation Move, they work in a similar way, right? They map out the room and a camera, so like
you can't just have a cheeky flick of the wrist.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can't cheat with that. Yeah. Interesting. So I liked it. I mean, what about you? Well, like, out of 5, Nick, because we tend to do that with things. Out of 5, what would you rate your VR Battlezone experience?
I'm trying to look at this purely from from somebody who likes that style of game. I don't want to be biased, is what I'm saying, because if I'm being completely honest, personally, it's not my type of game. Yeah, it's not a game that I would pick up and play, and that's obviously no disrespect to the guys down there and developers and that, because I think it's a really, really good game, especially if like you and the squad are playing it. Like that was when it was at its peak for me. In terms of VR games, I haven't got much to compare it to because we haven't played that many.
Such a new thing.
I think it's solid. I think I'd give it 3.5 to 4.
Yeah?
Yeah. Like,
all right. And where would you say the 1.5 or 1 is the lack, just because it ain't a bit of you, really?
I would say that the 1.5 is lost in that it's, for me, it's not that pick up and play. Mm-hmm. I feel like you kind of need to know what you're doing to play it, and like that might scare people off. Yeah. People that are interested in VR and they're like, because I'm going to be real, right? A lot of people that are going to get the VR at the start are people that are in it. People that are like, you know what I mean? Like, I am in this VR thing. Like, I want to play this game. Like, so they're gamers. But you will also get people who are just interested. Like, oh, I want to try this VR thing out. This is a new concept, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So, I don't know where they're cool. So I feel like those people who are really important, I feel, to PlayStation, but also to HTC, to anyone who's trying to develop and grow a market, because they're the people that you need to attract in. Because let's be honest, the gamers are going to buy it anyway and play it anyway.
Yeah, especially with the amount of money you kind of have to invest in these things. Like we're talking, this is across VR. Like when you're looking at the console stuff, it's about £300 upwards.
Yeah.
You know.
So if you're trying to attract new people who are not your bread and butter, who are going to buy it anyway, who are investing this 300 quid or whatever, they don't want to invest the 300 quid and go, I feel like I wasted that money, man. This game's too hard. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to play it again. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, but having said that, on the flip side, they did reveal to us later on that we were playing it on normal mode, not easy. We weren't playing it on hard. Yeah. So I guess if you're a complete novice, like I was, if I was playing it on my own, or if I had my own PlayStation VR, I would be playing it on novice. Yeah,
I mean, I'm with you, Nick. In terms of the sort of, it does very much. It's such an early thing, and we don't know what our flavor of the month is when it comes to VR, because I think
it's hard.
Different. Yeah, we've not played enough. But I'm a story-driven guy. Like I like a good story in a game. So for me, there wasn't much story in it.
Yeah. It's not necessarily about that, is it?
It's about getting in there and kicking some ass. Yeah.
Well, that's that. There's a lot of that now, though, in online gaming, though. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It depends what you like. I think that the story thing, like, and this again is a little bit of a side note of what we're talking about, but it's relevant. The story thing, I think, is dying out, like with new age gamers. And what I mean is, like, you know, the youngsters that are playing games now that are kicking our asses, by the way, whenever you play online.
You're shit.
Yeah, you've got 12, 13-year-olds absolutely battering you at every game. These guys grew up in an era where online gaming was just like, that's what you did. Yeah. You just log in and you play online. Whereas, like, we grew up in an era where, like, the only time you could play your mates is if they were, like, if they came to your yard.
And had their own control pad. Yeah. You might not have had an extra control pad.
So 9 times out of 10, you were playing on your own. Yeah. So the story mode was really important.
Yeah.
So, like, and I still find myself now, when I get a game, I still play the story mode. Even on COD, where, like, you know how COD, the story mode is like, nobody talks about the story mode. Yeah. It's just online. But I'm a story guy. GTA, I'll get GTA. Nowadays, people are like, I'm just playing GTA online. I'm like, story mode. Like, I want to play the story mode. And the new FIFA, in fact, the new FIFA's got story mode. Yeah. So, I'm just that guy. I just like the story mode. But, like, I in that sense, I agree with you. Like, there was no story to it, but, like, I don't know whether these new generation of gamers would agree with me and you. They'd probably be like, I just want to play online.
Yeah, and actually, you know, we didn't play much of the single player. Maybe they did find a way to make it a more of a story situation, like a more narrative. There's more clearer narrative in it, or a broad narrative, but we didn't play as much. So there might be more narrative in it. But it looks, I'm kind of getting the inkling it's a game where it's more about, let's play online. Like, because multiplayer in VR, that's a whole level of we've this conversation has been about VR, but multiplayer VR, being in the same room as same virtual room as somebody, running around and having the 360 VR experience, that's quite a lot to process in terms of, for us as gamers, and for them to actually physically make happen. So
I think with it, like, if you were using the HTC Rift, HTC, sorry, not the, I'm remixing two together there. If you were using the HTC Vive, that's the one. You couldn't be in the same room physically. You could be in the same room in the VR. Yeah, you couldn't be in the same room physically, because you would literally be running into each other.
So maybe sitting games where you drive vehicles is where it's going to be at for VR in terms of multiplayer stuff. Yeah, maybe. But in terms of what I'm going to give it out of 5. Probably going to give it a 4, and this isn't about the game, it's about me personally, and this has been with all VR experiences. I still get a little bit of motion sickness across all VRs.
You said straight away, you were like, I'm feeling a bit,
I needed a coffee with a few sugars in it. I felt a bit woozy, and this is something it's way better than it was when I was first trying out VR. But for me, it's the moving around in a game, but not actually moving physically in real life. It plays with my head. For me, I mean, to be fair, there's 5 of us playing. I'm the only one, so 1 out of 5, let's say, is the stat of the day. But I mean, everyone else seemed fine. Were you all right?
Yeah, I was sweet as a nut, man. Like,
I felt a bit woozy, but yeah. But anyway, Battlezone, I liked it. I want to play a bit more of it, actually. I think online I'd like to see how that goes. I'm interested to see how VR goes.
Yeah, what really excites me about VR is what you just mentioned, what we just mentioned a minute ago, story-led games. Imagine, let me just throw this at you. Imagine if you could play GTA and you're immersed in it. You're robbing the cars, like, you know, you're sitting in the car, driving the car around Los Santos, or, you know, whatever the inception will be. Then, like, obviously I feel like we're a long way away from that, because, well, just think how much processing power and, like, that's going to require loads, do you know what I mean? But that's exciting for me.
That's gonna, do you know, because there are stories about guys that are hacking games and doing VR bits in GTA, actually, specifically.
Oh,
and
really?
one of the comments that have been said that has come up a few times is that it gets super real. Because GTA is a graphic game, like you're running people over, cutting them up, punching them up. But if you're doing that in a VR world, it becomes that extra bit real.
It's
you know what I mean? You're running up someone.
It'd be hard because, like, because, like, the only thing that I see being a stalling point for me is, like, again, you'll have to be sitting down for the whole time. Because it's massive and you can't, like, the virtual world in GTA is huge, so you can't be, like, walking around for the whole time. And also, it wouldn't make sense if you're robbing a car. You would then have to physically sit down in real life. And it's like, how would you know there's a seat behind you because you've got a VR headset on? Like, so I feel like you'd have to be sitting down the whole time. But it would be good in terms of, like, you would have to, like, aim. You'd have to turn and point a gun at, like, where you want to point it and stuff like that. There's potential. Obviously, you know, I'm not a developer at all. I don't have a clue, like, what those talented people do. I just get the end product and play it.
That's what it's all about.
Exactly. But, like, there's scope for something there. I could just be talking just mad trash, and, like, anyone who's in the know could be listening to this guy and but that's like 50 years off, bro. Like, but I just think if they can make something like that happen, it would be revolutionary.
What if there was a rig that you sat in and you could stand up in? Like, imagine something supporting the back of you, and in the game, if you sat down, it turned into a seat and you sat into it, and then if you got up, it kind of...
I mean, that would make sense. Yeah, you know, I know what you mean, but it's like, now we're talking, like, how much is that going to cost?
Oh, that's going to be thousands of pounds.
And that's the thing. Like, again, you're losing the kind of, like, the general gamer,
and then you got to get in and calibrate it so it doesn't, like, break you in half when you get in. Yeah, that's long.
So it's like, there's so many kind of, like, inceptions of, or so many different routes, I should say, that this could go. But again, the baseline, that's the right word. The baseline for me, what it always comes back to, the bottom line, is the cost to the consumer.
Yeah.
The thing is with VR is that it's something that it's not commercial, it's not mainstream yet. And if they want it to be mainstream, if they want it to be commercial, it's got to be affordable.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing, do you know what I mean?
And value for that money as well.
Yeah.
Like, value for money. You want to have, when you get it, how much you're going to use it.
Yeah. You don't want it to be a fad as well. That's I feel like that is probably, right? You don't want it to be Pokemon Go. You don't want it to, like, be massive for 5 minutes and then just die. And that's, like, I feel like that's what VR needs to worry about more than anything else, because in this era as well, consoles are cool because consoles are a main staple. You know, we've had consoles. I've had consoles since my first ever console. I wasn't like Amiga days and Atari and all that. I'm a bit too young, but my first console was the NES, and I've had a console ever since then. I went from the NES to the SNES to the Mega Drive. I didn't have a Master System, but then I had an N64, Sega Dreamcast.
Yeah.
Basically every console from the NES upwards, pretty much. And, like, they're a main staple. But with VR, it's like, I'm a little bit worried that in this generation now, where everything is so throwaway, do you know what I mean? Things that are massive 1 minute are just completely gone the next. Like, I don't want to see VR fall that way, because I think it's really cool. And I think there is so much potential and so many possibilities.
Yeah.
Like, for example, right? Here's an example that we've done on How to Kill an Hour, or things that we do. You know, these experiences that we've been to where it's not VR, it's not tech, it's not, it's just an immersive experience. You know, like the Secret Agent one that we did, stuff. You can, with VR, you can develop experiences like that are just in your yard. You don't even have to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and I love all those experiences. And don't get me wrong, there's something nice about doing it in real life rather than doing it on a game. But it's not always possible to do shit in real life. Or if you're disabled, or like, there's many reasons why you might not be able to do something in real life. It might not be happening in your city, whatever. But with VR, it's like they can do whatever.
Yeah.
The possibilities are there.
Yeah, it's about future. I think, future proofing.
Yeah.
Themselves, like you said, like, you know, VR, and maybe even beyond gaming as well. Like, what about VR live sporting experiences?
Well, they've already. I don't know if you saw. Like, we should have went down, man.
Where was that?
Now that I'm saying this, the NFL thing on Regent Street yesterday. At the time of recording this, there was an NFL. They took over Regent Street because the Jacksonville Jaguars are playing the Indianapolis Colts today at Wembley.
Yeah.
I'm a big NFL fan now. That's my new thing. But they had a thing where they took over Regent Street and they had VR, a VR experience where you put a headset on and you were immersed in a NFL game.
Sick.
And then last week or the week before? There was a Premier League game or a Champions League. No, Champions League, because it was on BT Sport. So there was a Champions League football game, English football now. So if there's any American listeners listening.
Soccer.
Soccer. I don't want to confuse people. BT Sport showed the first ever Champions League game in 3D, but you had to go to an EE store. There were certain EE stores. I think the one on Oxford Street in London was showing it, and it's in conjunction with a company. So they're already moving towards that kind of immersive experiences in a sporting environment. But the thing because I've never tried it, right? But I was thinking about it, and I'm like, the thing that I'm thinking is, where are you? Are you like sitting in the crowd watching, or are you like, you're just in the middle of the field and players are just running past you? Like, I haven't seen it or researched it enough to know where you are. Or can you select where you sit? Maybe it's a thing like you can sit in the manager's dugout if you want, or, you know, there's potential, endless potential to do things like that. But
I love that, man. That could bring a whole new audience to sport. But that's VR. A lot of VR talking today's episode.
Yeah.
So that was our battle zone and sort of a blend of where we are at with VR at the moment with How to Kill an Hour.
I wonder how many times you've said VR in this. Someone count it and let us know, and we'll give you a prize.
Yeah, we give. I was gonna say give you a VR headset, but nah. But we've actually. Yeah, we've got keyring. We've got some more virtual reality experiences coming up in the next few weeks, so we'll let you know as things develop. It's something that we're going to keep our eyes on. And yeah, man,
wicked
VR. Plenty of ways to kill an hour out there. Thank you for killing a bit of one with us, or almost all of one. Cheers. I've been Marcus Bronzy.
I've been Nick VR Bright.
Is that your Twitter now?
No, I'm just throwing another one in there so that when they're counting it, you know what I mean? Like, VR. Yeah. Oh, what?
Subtle one.
Huh? What, virtual reality? Does that count?
Oh, I don't know. Nah, I don't know. What if I say V
and I say R?
Hey, when I say V. Yeah. Anyway, Nick Wright, how can we keep up to date with what you're up to in your world of radio and TV?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Just Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, the usual, at Nick Bright DJ on all of them, because I'm streamlined.
Thank you for keeping it simple.
Yeah, streamlined like a nice VR headset.
Like a what?
Sorry, a VR headset.
Yeah, cool. All right. Yeah, I'll be Marcus Bronzy, at Marcus Bronzy on everything as well. It's good that we're both streamlined like VR headsets.
Yeah, it is. You have to be streamlined, man. Yeah. Like, I'm like a gazelle.
Wow.
Like, I wonder if a gazelle could play a VR headset game.
VR. Cheers.